My phone in the hotel room rings, and it's the Attorney General. And he opens the conversation. Who the hell is Diane Nash? Call her and let her know what is waiting for the Freedom Riders. So I called her. I said, I understand that there are more Freedom Riders coming down from Nashville. You must stop them if you can. Her response was, they're not going to turn back. They're on the way to Birmingham, and they'll be there shortly. You know that spiritual, like a tree standing by the water, I will not be moved. She would not be moved. And I felt my voice go up another decibel and another, and soon I was shouting, young woman, do you understand what you're doing? You're going to get somebody, do you understand you're going to get somebody killed? And there's a pause, and she said, sir, you should know we all signed our last wills and testaments last night before they left. We know someone will be killed, but we cannot let violence overcome nonviolence. That's virtually a direct quote of the words that came out of that child's mouth. Here I am, an official of the United States government representing the President and Attorney General, talking to a student at Fisk University. And she, in a very quiet but strong way, gave me a lecture.
We shall not be moved.
Please welcome to the Diane Nash Plaza dedication banquet here at the Cal Turner Center on the historic Meharry Medical College campus. Welcome to the stage the co-MCs, Mr. Ernie Allen, host of Let's Talk, seen on podcast on WQQK 92Q, and Miss Yolanda Beach, known affectionately as Yolo Beach, highly regarded broadcaster and entrepreneur. Welcome them, please.
Good evening. And again, we'd like to welcome you to this celebration. It's a celebration. We're recognizing a bold, brilliant fighter for justice. Now, I'd also like to welcome you to this awesome event, honoring those firefighters, not firefighters, but fighters for justice. YOLO.
Hello, Ernie.
Hello, hello, hello. Now we'd like to welcome to the stage Dr. Phyllis Qualls. He is the Chief Advancement Officer of a School for Social Justice, American Baptist College, to bring you the greetings. We're celebrating 100 years this year. Dr. Qualls.
I told Ernie and Yolanda they could stay, and he said, we can stay, you might be a while. Thank you so much, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. How are you? What a wonderful audience you are. Beauty on the inside and on the outside, as we all are here for a common cause. Welcome to the beautiful Cal Turner Center at one of America's great medical center schools, one of 4 HBCUs in the nation, and unmistakably one of the best in the nation, Meharry Medical College. It is led by one of the most respected infectious disease specialists in the world, Dr. James Hildreth. Let's applaud him again. The Diane Nash Dedication Committee extends heartfelt thanks to you and to the Meharry staff and students for allowing this momentous event to take place on this historic campus. We appreciate Council Lady at Large Zofat Ziara, who leads this project, and all the volunteers on the various committees, as well as the Metro Nashville Minority Caucus, the mayor, and many others. Some decades ago, on the steps of City Hall, Ms. Nash asked then Mayor Ben West, "Do you feel it is wrong to discriminate against a person solely on the basis of their race or their color?" The mayor admitted they should not. 3 weeks later, that little scared girl who was bold enough to speak out to this mayor, the lunch counters of Nashville were serving blacks. Yes. Hallelujah. It is reported that reflecting on this event, to one reporter, Mrs. Nash said, "I have a lot of respect for the way the mayor responded. He didn't have to respond that way, but he did. He said that he felt it was wrong for citizens of Nashville to be discriminated against at the lunch counters solely on the basis of the color of their skin. That was the turning point in the movement, and that day was quite significant." All of the Nashville HBCUs were involved. American Baptist College had the outstanding leaders of the late Congressman John Lewis, Reverend Bernard Lafayette, C.T. Vivian, James Bevel, and others. Reverend James Lawson, a Vanderbilt student, was their instructor, and many of our icons here tonight were dedicated participants in that movement when Ms. Nash led that cause. We appreciate all those who felt it not robbery to be with us here tonight, to show honor to Ms. Nash, Reverend Lawson, and Representative Justin Jones. They represent the old and the new, the tried and the true. Thank you for being here with us tonight. You are in for an educational, inspirational, and loving event. Get ready. Now welcome to the stage the spectacular sounds of Patrick Daly. He will do a special rendition of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, You May Stand.
Good evening. This rendition of the Negro National Anthem, as it's called, Lift Your Voice and Sing, specially arranged. It has been performed for the dedication of the post office of our late dear Senator, goodness gracious, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Harper, Senator Harper, Thelma Harper, thank you. I'm having a moment. And tonight I'm thrilled to be welcomed and joined by my brother Darius Mines, and we are so honored to present this to you all and to you, Ms. Nash, this evening. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing on. song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Steady fighters have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading the path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our ears, God of all silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, Thou who hast by thy mouth led us into the keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Oh, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Wasn't it beautiful? My Lord, amen. That was an extraordinary presentation of a song for this time and at this honored occasion. Now let's please welcome the leader of Meharry Medical College, an infectious disease expert with more patients than I care to count. a researcher, scientist, undisputed leader, and president of Meharry Medical College. Please welcome to the podium Dr. James E.K. Hildreth.
Good evening, everyone. Turn them up. Let me first say how honored we are and humble to host such an event to honor Ms. Nash, who is just truly an icon. This morning I spoke to more than 50 undergraduates who are interested in medicine. And one of them asked me how I stay inspired. And I reminded them that there are folks whose names we will not know, whose sacrifices we will not understand or comprehend, and there are others, like the hero sitting in front of us, who inspire me every day. And I just want to offer my personal thanks to you, and what a tremendous, courageous thing you've done for all of us. So thank you so much. So as I said, we are so very grateful to be able to host this event to recognize a trailblazer of courage, leadership, and unyielding dedication to justice, Ms. Diane Nash. As the CEO and president of Meharry Medical College, I'm honored to stand before you to celebrate the enduring legacy of a woman whose name is synonymous with change and progress. In the turbulent civil rights movement, Ms. Nash emerged as a beacon of hope amidst the darkness of injustice. A student at Fisk University, she fearlessly led a march to the courthouse following the bombing of attorney Alexander Luby's home, a pivotal moment that would reshape the course of history. On those courthouse steps, you heard the question that she asked the mayor that captivated a nation and broke the shackles of segregation. She asked the mayor, as you heard, do you believe that it is wrong to discriminate against a person solely on the basis of their race or color? With that question and her relentless focus on justice, Ms. Nash ignited a wildfire change that paved the way for desegregation and equality. As we pay homage to Ms. Nash, we acknowledge her remarkable accomplishments and her steadfast dedication to justice and equality. Meharry has served as a beacon of opportunity for blacks since our founding in 1876, providing a refuge for those excluded from medical institutions due to racial and ethnic discrimination. We've evolved over time. We now become an exemplar of inclusive health education, embracing students from diverse backgrounds, regardless of race, religion, or origin. Ms. Nash's courageous activism during the civil rights movement serves as a reminder of the enduring importance of Meharry's mission to empower diverse populations to improve the well-being of humankind. Her unwavering commitment to justice and equality resonates deeply with all Meharrians, who reinforce his mission to cultivate an inclusive environment through serving marginalized communities and adjusting systemic inequalities in healthcare. By embracing diversity and promoting inclusivity, Meharry not only educates future healthcare professionals, but instills in them the values of compassion, empathy, and social responsibility. At Meharry, where approximately 14% of all black physicians, 27% of all black dentists, and 15% of all black biomedical scientists in America have graduated, we very proudly uphold our legacy as a light for diverse voices. We empower our students to become influential models of positive change in society. We equip our graduates with knowledge, skills, and ethical framework to navigate the challenges of our ever-changing world. Guided by principles of diversity, inclusion, and excellence, Meharry remains unwavering in its dedication to fostering an equitable and nurturing education and medical setting, inspired by the enduring legacy of Ms. Nash and the countless others who have tirelessly championed social justice. As we reflect on her legacy, let us draw from her unwavering courage and commitment to justice and recommit ourselves to building a future where justice and equality prevail, even here in Tennessee. Even here. And I believe that that will happen. And I'm inspired by Ms. Nash and by the Justins, as they're known, by our other colleagues who courageously pointed out the insanity of trying to write us out of history. You can't write us out of history. I'm going off script now. I hope that's all right. You know, this is my house, so I get to say what I want. You can't write us out of history. Who do they think built this country? But I'm encouraged by a new generation of individuals who see their own worth, see their own value, and recognize that this is their world. They have every right to be great in it, to shape it for the betterment of all of us. But in closing, let me just say how truly I'm inspired by having you with us this evening. I'm so proud to be a part of this celebration. And before I get into any more trouble, let me thank all of you for being here once again. Thank you.
Thank you, President Hildreth. We are so thrilled that Meharry is hosting this event tonight, and you are present to make the experience both heartfelt and educational. Now please welcome the Honorable Senator Charlene Oliver of the 19th Senatorial District of the state of Tennessee. She is completing her second year in that role. She is one of the 4 founders of the very impactful Equity Alliance, and her work continues from that perspective of letting one's voice be heard. Please welcome Senator Oliver.
Good evening, good evening. I was just telling Ashford I didn't want to fall on the steps and make a fool of myself twice in 1 week. If you've been on the internet this week, you know I've been memed. You gotta laugh to keep from crying up there at the legislature. So I am here to introduce the elected officials. I am State Senator Charlene Oliver. It's a pleasure to serve you, and I'm welcome to my district, Senate District 19. Yes. Is Representative Gloria Johnson here? And by the way, she is a candidate for U.S. Senate. Yes. Yes. Representative Justin Jones. Yes. Is Mayor Freddie O'Connell here? Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Vice Mayor Angie Henderson. Yes. Councilwoman at Large, Zolfat Swara, who is the reason we are here today. Let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you for all your work, Z. On and off the field, you are just amazing. It's an honor to serve alongside of you. Also, we have here with us Council Member Jennifer Gamble, Council Lady Antoinette Lee, Councilwoman Sandra Sepulveda, Councilwoman Terry Vo, Councilman Jeff Preptit, is Councilwoman Brenda Gadd here as well. We also have with us our County Clerk, Brenda Wynn. Yes. Lionel Matthews, our Juvenile Court Clerk. I'm not sure if he's here. Erica Gilmore, our Trustee. Miss Vivian Wilhort, our Property Assessor, newly elected again. Karen Johnson, Register of Deeds. I know I saw her. And we also have a former Councilwoman, Nancy Van Rees, is in the building, as well as former Councilman David Rosenberg as well. Hopefully I did not miss anybody. That's the cardinal sin, is to not single folks out. Did I miss any elected officials that are in the room? If you are a candidate for office this year, please stand up. I want to recognize you as well. All right. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening. Let's enjoy ourselves in the name of the Honorable Diane Nash. Thank you.
Thank you again, Senator Oliver. Now, please, at this time, we'd like to welcome Reverend Troy Merritt. He is the presiding elder on leave in the 13th Episcopal Church of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, and he's here to bring the invocation and blessing of the food. Reverend Merritt was also a young boy when he was sneaking around trying to take part in the sit-ins. Please welcome to the podium, Reverend Troy Merritt.
Let us pray. Eternal and everlasting God, we thank you for your goodness and mercy toward us. For you are the God of our ages past and our hope for years to come. And we thank you. We thank you for inspiring a young woman who became the major red drum major for so many young people in junior high and high school, as well as in colleges, who marched and set in downtown Nashville. Thank you, because her courage helped inspire many people to go into fields and endeavors and careers where they had to prove themselves because they were always questioned by the color of their skin. But yet, in spite of it all, we're here tonight to say thank you for Diane Nash, and thank you for the legacy that has been shared with so many around this world. Now help us, oh God, to be celebratory, but at the same time reverent, because it was your spirit that encouraged this young woman to do what she had to do. She heard your voice, and she listened, and she fulfilled her role in your world. Just like Ruth or an Esther, she did her role for such a time as she served. And so as we're here tonight, help us again to be mindful and grateful of this opportunity. We ask your blessing upon this gathering, the fellowship, the friendships, and the favor that you've given to all of us to be present tonight, but also the food that will be shared tonight. So Lord, inspire us, be with us, give us your spirit and your word as we go forth again into the world, knowing that there are still things that we must do. So give us the strength and the nourishment and the courage from your nourishment to do that which is pleasing in your sight. For this is our prayer, and the people together said, Amen.
We would like Vice Mayor Angie Anderson to please come to the podium for a welcome on behalf of our mayor.
Good evening, everyone. As you can tell, I am not Mayor Freddie O'Connell, but of course I send his greetings. This gala is the culmination of a beautiful and historic day in Nashville. I want to thank Councilwoman Zulfat Swara, our President Pro Tem of our council, for inviting me here to speak in the mayor's stead. I'm so grateful and humbled to have the privilege to be with you this evening and to have had the privilege to be sitting today with the Metro Council on the public square, the civic heart of our city, to hear and to feel the deeply wise words of Diane Nash. Today touched my heart. What a gift to Nashville to see Ms. Nash speaking again and standing on the plaza in front of our historic courthouse and city hall, the plaza that is now rightly named in her honor. Over Mrs. Nash's right shoulder this morning, from my vantage point on the front row, was my office window. Women in leadership, everyone in civic leadership in Nashville stands on the shoulders of Ms. Nash. I was reminded today that Ms. Nash was just 22 years young when she changed Nashville for the better. My own daughter is 22 and graduating college next month. And I hope Mrs. Nash's example will be instructive to my daughter, to all young women and young people across our nation in a time when racism is again on the rise and our youth are rightly taking to the streets again to call out hypocrisy and inequality. Ms. Nash's work and her words truly elevated Nashville, made us a better city. We are grateful, but we acknowledge that our civic project, our democracy, our nation is always a work in progress that requires our constant vigilance. Thank you, Ms. Nash. You have our eternal gratitude. And Metro Nashville government, our city council, our mayor, and myself welcome you back to Nashville and welcome you all attending this evening to celebrate this remarkable woman. Thank you.
And more of the program is on the way, but right now, dinner is being served. Enjoy your meal.
I'm on my way, and I won't turn back.
Diane Nash was a leader of the Nashville student movement, and she was incredibly attractive, but it's a big mistake to think she was just a pretty girl. She was also somebody deeply, deeply rooted in nonviolence, in the practice and theory and the philosophy. This was not just a tactic that she used when she was on the picket line. It was something she deeply, deeply believed in.
Diane Nash was a student at Fisk University. She was from Chicago. She went downtown one day and found out that things were a little bit different here in Nashville.
I'm sorry, our management does not allow us to serve niggers in here.
That was so demeaning and so humiliating.
She was very angry. She was disturbed by this form of racism that she met in Nashville, which she had not seen in Chicago. She was anxious to get involved in doing something about it.
Thing we need to keep in mind, and that is we don't want to be arrested today. We're going to try to avoid it. However, we can't go down there fearing to be arrested.
She became one of the most active students attending the nonviolent workshop every Tuesday night at 6:30.
Groups would be dispatched.
She was always planning and looking ahead, and she was always asking the right questions.
Diane was relatively better known than most of the other people in these local student movements because of the successful confrontation she'd had with the mayor of Nashville in forcing him to admit that he believed in lunch county integration. He thought it was right, and it was Diane Nash who made him do this.
I asked the mayor, first of all, Mayor West, do you feel that it's wrong to discriminate against a person solely on the basis of his race or color?
I could not agree that it was morally right for someone to sell them merchandise and refuse them service.
I think we were very pleased and very happy with our mayor at that moment, and we all applauded. And here was the situation that turned out right.
The Nashville group was very committed to desegregation. We recognized that adding numbers to demonstrations could be effective. When the Freedom Riders were beaten in Birmingham and the bus was burned and the riders attacked in Anniston, it felt like an attack on us.
We
had to make certain that the Freedom Ride continued, especially since there had been a great deal of violence. Everyone understood that to take up the Freedom Ride meant that there was a good possibility of people being seriously injured or even killed. And in my capacity as coordinator, several of the people getting on the bus gave me sealed envelopes that I was to mail in the event of their deaths. The attitude became, well, kill us if that's what you're going to do, but we were going to be rid of segregation.
Ms. Nash, I don't think you have any idea of the honor this is for me tonight. Today, for our organization to play such a part in this historic day for you, in honor of you, and I just want to say thank you. Ms. Nash, esteemed guests and community members, on behalf of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, led by our President and CEO, Dina Ivey, our phenomenal and dedicated events team led by David Spencer. You would have seen them this morning. They led the production of this morning's dedication. And of course, of myself. We are deeply honored to celebrate your indomitable spirit and transformative contributions to Nashville's civil rights legacy. Your resilience and strategic acumen during challenging times have been instrumental in challenging the status quo and establishing a foundation for justice and equality in our city. Your leadership, particularly notable in a movement often dominated by male voices, has been a beacon of empowerment, encouraging us all to make a meaningful impact in our communities. Your efforts, alongside other civil rights icons, many of whom were here with us this morning and here tonight, in organizing sit-ins, freedom rides, and peaceful marches through Nashville, have been pivotal. And in spite of dangers faced in the struggle for equality, you all paved the way for future generations to continue the good work. In the hospitality sector, we take great pride in sharing Nashville's pioneering civil rights history with our visitors and residents. We love to tell the story of the people and our significant sites of Black cultural heritage, including our historically Black colleges and universities, our Jefferson Street jewels, the historic houses of worship such as First Baptist Capitol Hill and Clark Memorial that provided safe spaces for training and nonviolent protest. It is not lost on us that the entrance to the National Museum of African American Music, the only institution of its kind in the world, sits on the same street, 2 blocks from entrances of those restaurants and stores that denied us access. These institutions and so many others in this city tell the story of the relentless pursuit of justice that you helped lead. Nashville's role as the first Southern city to begin desegregation of public facilities speaks volumes about your critical influence in our history. Your dedication to nonviolence and equality has left an indelible mark not only on Nashville, but on this nation and beyond. Your legacy serves as a cornerstone of our city's legacy as a beacon of progress and inclusivity. Echoing your wise words, Ms. Nash, there is a source of power in each of us that we don't realize until we take responsibility. We are continually reminded of our journey toward greater responsibility and action. So thank you, Ms. Nash, and civil rights icons. On your shoulders, we stand taller, inspired to carry forward the torch of equality and inclusion. Thank you. I would like to now, on behalf of the Diane Nash Committee, to acknowledge our sponsors, that this day would not have happened without the financial and in-kind donations. I'm going to list them in no particular order, and I want to make sure that everyone is acknowledged. Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee Titans Foundation, Meharry Medical College, HNTB, Jigsaw, Ryman Hospitality, Mojo Marketing, MTA, WeGo, Metropolitan Minority Caucus, American Baptist College, the Metro Historical Commission, Urban League of Middle Tennessee, Vanderbilt University, Government and Community Relations, Spencer Fane Bone Family Foundation, Google Fiber, Old Town Trolley Tours of Nashville, the Nashville Chamber of Commerce, Pillars Development, I'm almost done, Sunday School Publishing Board, the Honorable Gloria Johnson, Tennessee State Representative, candidate for U.S. Senate, Fisk University, Metro Trustee, the Metro Assessor of Property, Circle of Elders, Otter Creek Church, Hands on Nashville, Fisk Alumni Association, the Historical Commission Foundation, Service Employees International Union, IMF, Equity Alliance, TSU's Women's Center, Belmont University School of Social Work, St. Augustine Chapel, Grand Central Party Rental, Nashville Audiovisual, Gallagher Staging Nashville, Rhino Tennessee, Sunbelt Rentals, FM3 Event Services, Parking Guys, Millions of Conversations, Crow, HNTB, Sunbelt, Overwatch Tennessee Security, Mood TV, the entirety of Nashville, Metro General Services, the Nashville Department of Transportation, Gray Line, and the Nashville Downtown Partnership. Thank you to all these and other organizations who have contributed to this memorable and historic day of celebration in Music City. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to enjoy your meal as we continue the program. The entire Diane Nash Plaza dedication event has been made possible by the generous contributions in businesses, corporations, nonprofits, and individuals, the platinum sponsors, and the Nashville Convention and Visitors Bureau, who has contributed human power, funding, great encouragement. Representing the corporation, again, thank you, Marie Suing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome now one of Nashville's 5 constitutional officers, Ms. Vivian Wilhoit. She serves as assessor of property and works to ensure that citizens' needs are addressed rightfully. By the way, she was just awarded the Political Action Award at the National Convention of Liaisons in Atlanta. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Vivian Wilhoit. She's gone? All right, well, moving right along. YOLO. Come up, Dr. Claus. Where?
It's you on your program.
Well, she returned.
Good evening. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. No, I have had the great honor of taking care of people who have taken care of us. And they have been the civil rights icons. They have been so humble in reference to wanting to be here today and to be here to honor you, Ms. Diane Nash. So, the civil rights icons, could you please stand? We have with us Mrs. Joy Regan Leonard. We have Dr. Ray. Dr. Etta Ray. We have Mrs. Gloria McKissick. We have the fiery Miss Frankie Henry. I told Miss Henry I'm not going to stand too close to her because she might cut me. We have also Mr. Hodge, who is standing in for his wife, Miss Patricia Armstrong Hodge. We know we have so many icons in the city that were activists, and sometimes when you meet one and say that they were activists, I can't tell them they were not activists. I wasn't born yet, right? But we do have with us today Mr. Miller, Mr. Lewis Miller. We have the very young activist at that time, Mr. Joe Guthrie. We have the wonderful, we also have, I couldn't see him on the other side, Mr. Freddie Leonard, Freedom Rider. We have the amazing Reverend Troy Merritt, who brought us the invocation and will be praying us out. We have with us representatives of icons, and one of which who has gone too soon. Mr. King Holland, we have with us his daughter, Kanya Hollins. Miss Jennifer, I'm not going to get this wrong again. We have Miss Jennifer Scruggs, who is here representing Reverend Julius Scruggs. I just want to make sure I have not missed anyone. Yes. And to whom we have just named our park, Hadley Park, after Kwame Lillard, we have Miss Evelyn Lillard. Let me just say that we lean not to our own understanding. And this is the reason why we seek inspiration from icons such as the civil rights icons, those who were freedom riders, those who were sit-in counter riders, and from those who were, as I've been told by Mrs. Carolyn Reed Bush before she passed away recently in February, that sometimes the struggle was just so hard. And for a long time, she wouldn't talk about it. And to learn from her the things that she went through, we all need to be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Assessor, Ms. Vivian Wilhoit. And now we have a very special performance for you, Ms. Nash. Coming to the stage now, Ms. Beth Anderson. Miss Beth Anderson. Betsy? Betsy. No S. Betty. It's a special performance for you, Ms. Nash. All right. Here's the podium mic. Or this one.
Thank you.
Okay.
The mic works. Okay. By now, you all know that Diane and I were and still are members of a wonderful high school graduating class, Hyde Park High School, class of '56. And last October, we wanted to honor Diane, and when we started setting up the arrangements, I said I want to write a song. I presented it then, she liked it, and so I'm presenting it again tonight. I have a really nice recording with a really good singer, and it's really lovely. I'm a songwriter rather than a singer, but I will sing to present the song to you. Focus, rising up, footsteps didn't swerve, waiting for the, excuse me. I have to tell you, my place card also says Betty Simpson. So, so I'm not sure who I am, much. My name now is Anderson, so I'm Betty Simon Anderson. And now maybe I know who I am. Maybe I'll be able to sing the song. Focus, rising up, footsteps didn't swerve, waiting for the cups of coffee waiters wouldn't serve. Jim Crow left behind on city bus steps we were climbing. You kept moving onward toward the rights we all deserved. While I stayed home with family, you went out to set us free. Facing nightsticks, bombs, and jail, you stayed strong, refused to fail. Focused, rising up, footsteps didn't swerve. Sitting at lunch counters where the staff refused to serve. Jim Crow left behind on city bus steps we were climbing. You kept moving onward toward the rights we all deserved. In peace you made our nation see. Release at last was meant to be. Sit in singing, marching teams. Together we could reach our dreams. Focus, rising up, footsteps didn't swerve. Sitting, waiting for the coffee, still refused to serve. Jim Crow left behind on city bus steps we were climbing. You kept moving forward for the rights we all deserve. Focus. Press through fears of one wrong move. Tested years created proof. Your light still pushes onward. Your acts still rush us forward. You hear the future cry. Your focus leads. We rise and fly. Focus, rising up. Focus, rising up. Focus, rising up. Focus.
Once again, Ms. Beth Anderson. All right. Beautiful audience here tonight. Oh, she said Betty? Okay, I'm gonna get it right. Betty Anderson. Amen. Don't get it twisted. Focus. Such a beautiful audience tonight. We hope you stay till the end. We're almost through. Right now, we want to bring up to the podium Metro Councilwoman at Large, and that will be Ms. Zolfet Salara and Dr. Carita Brown.
Thank you. Wow, what a sight. Good evening, everyone. It's been such a wonderful day. I want to thank all of you for coming together to help us celebrate Miss Nash. This morning was like a dream. I'm still processing all that's happened all day. But what I do know is that Nashville did what Nashville should have done a long time ago, and that is give you your flowers. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing Miss Nash because I did that in the morning, and I did it without crying. So I don't think I can make it tonight. But I did share with you why I love her so much, and I've had the pleasure to actually spend some time with her, not just talking to her for the last couple of months, but going around with her all day today. And the love and the passion and the courage and the conviction. She knows who she is. And Miss Nash doesn't mix words. And she won't do what she doesn't want to do. And you can't make her do what she wants to do. And I say that because I think it's very important for us as we come up, as we become famous, as we begin to do things and people start applauding us, that we don't forget who we are. She's never forgotten who she is. I want to introduce to you the moderator for tonight's panel, Dr. Carita Brown. Dr. Carita Brown is a distinguished sociologist, professor, and historian, and public intellectual. Her research focuses on the richness of Black life. She's a proud alumna of Temple University, the University of Pennsylvania, and Brown University. Dr. Brown has held significant positions, including professor of sociology at UCLA, the first director of racial equity and action of the Los Angeles Lakers, and the first, which I think is our most important job ever, is that she's the first Diane Nash, Descendants of Emancipated Slaves Chair at Fisk University. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Carita Brown. When we started planning this banquet, and we were thinking about what we're going to do, I remember our team were meeting together, and we decided who are going to be the speakers. Who do we want to speak? And we all decided that why do we need a speaker? We're getting Diane Nash. What other speaker do you need? Then I called Miss Nash, and I said, you live in Chicago. How about X, Y, and Z? She said, no. What about this politician? She said, nah. She said, if we waited for politicians, we would still be waiting. And she wanted to say, present company excluded, of course. Then she said, did you ask Jim? I was like, Jim? She said, yeah, Jim Lawson. I was like, ooh. So she picked up the phone, and she called Reverend Lawson. So this idea started forming. I know Justin was going to be here. James Lawson was Diane Nash's teacher and mentor. Diane Nash has been Justin's mentor. And I started thinking, oh my God, what would it look like if I can get three of them together and to talk about the relationship and the history? Oh my God, what would that look like? And ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to say that's what we're going to get. Reverend Lawson is not able to be here with us in person, but he's going to be joining us live via Zoom. As I introduced Reverend Lawson, I wanted to read a resolution that we passed. Reverend Lawson needs no introduction, like Ms. Nash. But when we were looking at the archives of Metro Council, we realized that MMPS, the school board, did name a school after him, James Lawson I. But the Metro Council have never done an ordinance or resolution for Dr. Lawson. So we wanted to correct that tonight as well. So it is my honor to present resolution number RS 2024-380, a resolution recognizing the Reverend James M. Lawson, Jr. for his leading role in the civil rights movement in Nashville and Davidson County, and his decades for work promoting nonviolence and equality. Whereas the Reverend James M. Lawson, Jr. has spent a lifetime teaching nonviolent direct action, organizing and engaging in civil rights efforts, and advocating for equality across the country. And whereas Reverend Lawson trained in Gandhi's use of nonviolence to achieve social and political change, while living in India as a missionary in the 50s. And whereas Reverend Lawson moved to Nashville to enroll in Vanderbilt University's Divinity School in 1957, after the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. encouraged him to move to the American South to teach nonviolence on a larger scale. And whereas Reverend Lawson organized workshops and taught the methods and ideals of nonviolent direct action to community members and university students in Nashville, including Diane Nash, John Lewis, Bernard Lafayette, the Reverend C.T. Vivian, and Ernest Reed Patton. And whereas the Nashville student movement soon conducted lunch counter sittings at various downtown Nashville stores in 1960, which led to heated backlash, violence, and more than 150 arrests of the student demonstrators. And whereas as the sittings accelerated in Nashville, Reverend Lawson's role with the Nashville student movement led to his expulsion from the Vanderbilt Divinity School, an action for which the university later apologized and considered was wrong. Whereas on April 19, 1960, after the bombing of Attorney Z. Alexander Luby's home, the Nashville student movement and Reverend Lawson marched in protest to the Nashville courthouse and confronted Nashville Mayor Ben West, who considered that segregation was wrong and that lunch counters in the city should be desegregated. And whereas, thanks to Reverend Lawson's work, Nashville became the first major southern city to begin desegregating its public facilities. Whereas Reverend Lawson's efforts continued well after Nashville lunch counters were desegregated, including continued desegregation protests in Nashville and across the country. Early involvement with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, organizing and participating in the Freedom Rides in 1961, and decades of ministry at Methodist churches in Tennessee and California. Whereas the Metro Board recognized Reverend Lawson by naming a new Bellevue High School in his honor, and James Lawson High School opened in the fall of 2023. And whereas it is fitting and proper that the Metro Council recognized Reverend Lawson for his life's work promoting civil rights and nonviolence. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, the Metropolitan Council hereby goes on record as recognizing the Reverend James Lawson for his role in the Nashville City Movement and his decades of work promoting civil rights and nonviolence. This resolution shall take effect from and after its adoption, the welfare of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County requiring it. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Lawson. I don't know what to do. Half of them are in this room, but the person that coined the word Mama Z was Justin Jones. Justin and I go way, way back. There's a lot of story to be told. We've been in places together. But tonight is not the night. No, tonight Miss Nash night. But it is my honor to present to you and to have this incredible panel. I think it's a conversation that you will all enjoy, and I think it's going to make all our lives better. Yes. Reverend Lawson, Miss Diane Nash, and Representative Justin Jones.
My. Good evening, everyone. I think I speak. Ooh. I think. Okay. I think I speak for everyone in the room tonight that there is no more important place that we would want to be than right here, being able to engage in this momentous occasion. Am I right, y'all? Well, I want to get right into it, and let's make history. Each of you is a tour de force when it comes to social change. Can you take us back and just share with us what was that watershed moment in your consciousness that led you on the path to activism? So what brought you to activism, Diane, Reverend Lawson, Justin?
Karita, may I take just a moment?
Yes.
I'd like to take just a moment to acknowledge my guests tonight.
Yes, please.
Okay. Family and friends. I'd like to introduce you first to my grandson, Cole Tillman. To a very dear friend, Christopher Wilson. He works at the Smithsonian Institution. To my cousin, Nancy Williams Cleveland, and her husband, Isaac Cleveland. You've met my classmate, Betty Simon. Is Ova Beeson here? Another classmate? Okay. Oh, there she is. All right. My cousin, Namihira Bolton, and his wife, Leanne Carter. Who else is at the table? A very good friend, Dawn Porter. She's a psychiatrist. Black psychiatrists we need a lot more. Reagan, I have to pronounce her name. Reagan Jordan and Elena Gaffney. And I think that's everyone. Did I miss anyone? Okay, they came from all parts of the country, and I'm very grateful. Okay, now you wanted to know what inspired us to...
Yeah, like, was there a certain moment in your life, or was it an event, a role model? What brought you to the life of an activist?
It was a combination. I never learned any Black history while I was in school. And I had graduated from college before I started reading Black history. And I remember putting books down and absolutely crying a number of times because I had not known how there were people in history who had done a lot for us, who loved us, and how I had benefited. And I decided that I wanted to be in that number of historically the number of people who had struggled and fought for freedom. And then when I had the opportunity to be part of ending segregation, I took it.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that it is a bit intimidating to be on a panel with your professors and folks who have mentored and taught you, and it is also a great honor. And I just want to start by honoring my first teachers about love and justice were my grandmothers. And I also am happy to have an adopted grandmother up here who's guided me through some treacherous valleys and some dark times, and always reminded me that life was dynamic, and that's something I've held on to. I grew up in Oakland before coming here to Tennessee, and it's a city that before Black Lives Matter saw a police killing of Oscar Grant at the BART station. If you watch the movie Fruitvale Station, you see that this has been an issue that the city had been rising up about. And so I was in elementary school and middle school at that time where the court cases were going on, and I saw community rise up in action, and that was my first awakening to political activism. I kind of got the bug and ended up boycotting high school graduation because we had a high school that treated students like we were not students, but that we were incarcerated on campus. The school to prison pipeline started organizing in high school, ended up boycotting graduation because they wanted to censor what we were going to say. And then I read about this university at the time of the Trayvon Martin protests. I was 17, Trayvon was 17, and I read about this university where young people had engaged in social action, people like Diane Nash and John Lewis, and got the John Lewis Scholarship to come here to Fisk University, and that's where my journey has led me now. But I think really it's learning from the wisdom of those who came before us and recognizing that the civil rights movement is not just something we study in the past, but it's happening right now in present day. And it requires us to recognize through monuments, but also through movement, continued movement, that there are forces trying to take us backwards. And we know that just like Ms. Nash has grandchildren, that Bull Connor has grandchildren, Jim Crow has grandchildren. I work with some of them, in fact, at the Tennessee Capitol. And so, yeah.
No lies told. Reverend Lawson, can you share kind of your origin story into activism?
Yes, it's relatively simple. I realized that the story of Jesus said that there was a way to make social political change, a way for people to be transformed and to transform their situation. So by 1952, I was convinced that this could happen to we Black people. And I was able to maneuver my life so that by 1958, I was living in Nashville and traveling around proposing that we change America, change one another, and that we get the signs of segregation transformed. So that's an actual dateline, if you want. And, so that by 1952, I was convinced that we Black people would begin to smash and dismantle every vestige of segregation, and racism. And I have the great privilege of living those years in such a way as to see that begin to happen.
Oh, okay. Hello, Jim. No. Okay, you're on mute, I'm told.
You're on mute?
that he went to India and studied Gandhi's movement. What are we doing here? Well, I'm just going to finish this. Studied Gandhi's movement, thinking that perhaps we could use it here in the United States, and came back and taught the Nashville community, students and community members, the philosophy and strategy of nonviolence. He really brought nonviolence to the southern United States, to the movement. For me, personally, it was life-changing, and for the country, it was country-changing.
I want to pick up on the topic of nonviolence, both as a philosophy and as a method. It's been central to who you are and your work, your activism. Can you share a bit more with us about why nonviolence has been so vital and why is it so important? So if you could share a little bit about the importance of nonviolence.
Yes, I think there was probably no more important an invention in the 20th century than the social invention made by Gandhi of a way to wage warfare and make social change without killing and maiming each other. That's pretty remarkable. I was not convinced at first. I thought, because I grew up in this violent society also, and I thought, well, it probably wouldn't work. It's interesting. But then it did work. And it worked with the sit-ins, it worked with the freedom rides, and I still wasn't convinced. And during that period of time, there was a lot of militant poetry and conversation. And I thought, I've been wasting my time with this nonviolent stuff. And for about a year, I got into the violent thought. And I didn't like white people. And sometimes if a white person was coming down the street, I'd at least frown at them. And I'm sure they wondered, what's wrong with her, you know? But at the end of that year, I realized that I had read a lot of violent poetry and had a lot of fun talking with friends about violence, but I hadn't made any social change. And then I came to realize that I am more potent with using nonviolence. And as I lived, I got more and more convinced by seeing the results. You know, when you add violence to violence, tit for tat, and innocent people invariably get killed, and people hate you and you hate them, it just is futile. Love is a very powerful force, and it is possible to love people even if you do not like them. And I found that has been very empowering.
Well, in the universe, that is not about like or dislike, but about the fact that a human being has been created with the life energy, therefore has the very power of God if they try to use it through nonviolent struggle. I have said in recently months to myself, if you had given me the same money, the same number of soldiers and military people and the equipment that you've given to Ukraine, by this time, over a year, Russia would not be in charge of any part of Ukraine. And Ukraine would be throwing the invasion totally off their backs. The Western man has failed to recognize the monumental significance of nonviolent struggle. I think that with the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, an nonviolent alternative would have Ukraine free today of the Russian invasion.
Okay.
could still be done probably. So in any case, some of us were able to introduce nonviolence in this very impactful way as we did it in Nashville. And therefore, people who want to have personal and social and political change ought to be really experimenting with nonviolent thinking, nonviolent behavior, nonviolent forms of life, and using nonviolence.
Representative Jones, I want to direct this next question towards you. Expelled, kicked out, muted, disparaged, threatened. All of these experiences have been part and parcel to your experience as a student and in the state government. Today, we have hundreds of thousands of students and young people out protesting today for justice, freedom, and equity. And I wonder, as somebody who's got so much experience with the troubles that come along with that, what would you say to the young activists and protesters today? So I start with you, Representative Jones, and open it up to Ms. Diane Nash and Reverend Lawson.
I mean, I think it's a very critical question right now, is that we live in a society where we talk about how youth are a voice of moral clarity. But when they start speaking things that are uncomfortable, we forget that. When you have students who go to Vanderbilt University and are calling for peace and are being suspended, we have forgotten that. When we have students coming to the Capitol and being met with armed troopers in a building that says we want more young people, and when young people show up, you're terrified of them and you deploy the state police against them. It is wrong. And so I know after 2020 we had a lot of conversations about this too, Ms. Nash, just about how your wisdom that we should, number one, not underestimate our opponent, and that how power shows itself when it's threatened. And that's what we're really seeing, is we're seeing a system. We live in a state where people with paper signs are more dangerous to power than Proud Boys with AR-15s. That's what we're living in right now. And it is immoral, but it also is confirmation that their reaction is confirmation that organizing is impactful, that it is effective, because if it was not, they would not be passing laws to criminalize protests. They would not be passing laws to try and stop people from getting in a plaza or in the street or marching without a permit. I mean, these are the systems that we're seeing, and so we're seeing this full on display authoritarianism. I think there's no other word for it. And so the students at colleges, again, leaning into Ms. Nash's wisdom that life is dynamic, is interesting, that we have universities that say we want critical thought and social justice, and we'll even name a center after civil rights leaders. But when it comes to praxis, they forget. The scripture says, "Woe to you, you Pharisees and hypocrites, who build tombs for prophets your ancestors killed." And so we love to memorialize, and even as a state, I work in a building that is named at the intersection of MLK Boulevard and John Lewis Way. And every day in that building, we dishonor the civil rights movement. We pass laws that target black communities, black institutions, that try and take away resources. We work in a building that pass laws to try and censor history, that tries to ban books and ban drag shows, but won't ban the number one killer of children in the state, which is gun violence. And I think the only word for that is something that we were talking about in the car yesterday, Ms. Nash, is that it is a sickness. It is a social sickness. We live in a sick society that puts the worship of guns over the lives of our children. That is a sick society. And so, you know, we need nonviolent action, and I like how you refer to it as agapic energy, something that is active, something that is rooted in love, something that is rooted in a love that transcends generations as well. And so my message to the students is that as somebody who has been expelled, as someone who works in a building that is very hostile, my first week in the legislature, Senator Jack Johnson, the Republican Majority Leader, I was getting ready to go on the elevator somewhere, and I know Gloria, I see Gloria, and here he said, you know, I want you to know that you're worthless and you don't belong here. And for me, that was very, you know, I was shocked. I actually went, I think, to Gloria's office, went to some offices and just didn't know how to process that. But it was also clarifying for me to realize that I'm not here to make friends, but we're here to make change for our district. And that is what we're called to do. And so that is my message to the students, is that you don't have to get permission, you don't have to get legitimacy from the same systems we're trying to deconstruct and tear down and build something new. They should be threatened by the voice of young people, because these young people are rising up and making a new South, and in so doing we'll make a new nation.
In a democracy, people are the rulers of the country. All of us are rulers of this country. Problem is, we don't know that, or don't understand our role. But if the rulers, the appropriate rulers of the country, do not exercise an appropriate amount of power, somebody will step into that vacuum. 10 minutes in a voting booth every 2 years is not enough. If we had waited, as I've said many times, for elected officials to desegregate lunch counters, buses, get the right to vote, I think we would still be waiting. It's the responsibility of citizens. You know, in 2013, when the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, we should have shut the country down then and impeached the Supreme Court justices that voted to do such an undemocratic thing. A lot of blood, work, and tears were invested in getting the Voting Rights Act. We shouldn't have let it just go that easily. Right now, we need to get money out of political campaigns. Why are we putting up with gerrymandering? And the other, and there are a list of them, violations, things that take away from one person, one vote. We citizens have to correct that. And we see ourselves sliding into authoritarianism, and that's why. So I think we need to really reevaluate our roles. There are 330 million Americans now. If we all asserted ourselves as rulers of this country, I think we would see a lot of differences.
Reverend Lawson, can you share a
Well, I in Los Angeles in California, I have applied nonviolent strategy and organizing to working people. So today, California is now on the verge of becoming a state voting democratically rather than by Republicans. This has only taken about 5 to 10 years of work. So I've seen transformation take place in Los Angeles County, in Los Angeles City, and in the state of California, and in other parts across the West, using essentially nonviolent labor organizing and teaching working people to not hate the bosses, but to organize to change the bosses and to change the wages and the pensions alike and the jobs. So I tend to work in my own local scene positively from the advantage that nonviolence provides us with power, which, if we learn and apply, we will be surprised at how much change our movements begin to project and create. So I'm still in that mode of life, the mode of Nashville 1960. I'm still in that mode because I still see it happening where I live and work.
In your name, the Diane Nash and Descendants of Emancipation Chair. That means that this chair will be held in perpetuity at Fisk University as a reminder of the contributions that you have made to this city, this country, and the world through nonviolent direct action and your philosophy. But I want to ask you, why was it so important for you to include, because Mrs. Diane Nash had a lot of say in how her name would be used in this chair, why was it important to include Descendants of Emancipation in that title?
Well, when I first learned that there was a donor who wanted to set up that chair, I said, no, I don't think so. I love Fisk University, and I don't want to get into fights with them. And I said that descendants of slaves in the United States have worked so diligently, so bravely, so consistently, and are still at the bottom of the ladder in terms of indicators of quality of life. And I'm tired of it.
That's right. Me too.
I said, I noticed the history. In the 70s, a lot of Asians were brought into the country as medical workers, doctors, nurses, technicians. And I'm convinced that that's because if they hadn't been imported into the country, it would have been necessary to train blacks, to really educate Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. And it's a dilution that relegates us to lower levels in the United States. I noticed that in the early 70s, I think, there were sit-ins across the country by blacks who closed down administration buildings and demanded black studies departments and got them. Yes. When I was asked to speak at a university, it was usually the Black Studies Department or the Black Student Organization that invited me. Very soon, offices of diversity and offices of multiculturalism were established. And blacks were put under, when I say blacks now, I mean descendants of slaves, were put under umbrellas with many other groups, such as white women, Asians, Hispanics, etc. That was unjust on two levels. The first one is that there is no group that has gone through what we have with slavery, after slavery and Jim Crow and lynchings. The Supreme Court of the United States in the Dred Scott decision saying that blacks have no rights that white people have to respect. As far as I know, I don't know of another group where it was against the law to learn to read. And I could go on. To put us on an equal footing with groups who have not been through that is wrong. Secondly, it was the blacks who got those Black Studies departments. I think that more recently, and we've had a President Barack Obama who was not a descendant of slaves. We now have Kamala Harris. I went to school with somebody named Patricia Harris, who was not a descendant, Kamala Harris, not a descendant of slaves. We have movie stars who portray Martin Luther King, Coretta, in the movie Selma, who portrayed me. Harriet Tubman, there was a movie. It was not, Harriet Tubman was not portrayed by a descendant of slaves. I can name a list of movie stars. Entertainers, singers, musicians. We've been diluted and once again relegated to the lower echelons, even using many of the art forms that we created. I'm tired of that. And so it's got nothing to do with disliking or resenting the people who are taking these roles. But we couldn't go to their country and excel and thrive the way they can come here. We cannot welcome the whole world into the United States. It's necessary for people to do what we did here in their countries of origin. And we ought to help them. They are our brothers and sisters. But right is right and fair is fair. So then the idea came up that we could name the chair the Diane Nash Descendants of the Emancipation Chair. And I said, sure, let's do that. And so that's the thinking behind it.
I am honored to have held the inaugural position as the Diane Nash Descendants of Emancipation Chair, and I thank you for allowing me to hold that role. That is the most important thing that I've ever done in my working life. So I have been given a charge and a mandate to keep this panel on a certain time frame, but I've already broken the rules there. So I want to bring this to a close with one final question for each of you, and it's about legacy. Please offer your remarks or reflections about what you hope that your own legacy will be as generations of activists, American citizens, dreamers, young people, folks who are going to run the world that we'll have to live in old age. What do you want your legacy to be, to pass the baton on to them?
We have Black dreamers as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I just wanted to add that.
I think I just want to first by saying, you know, God willing, I'm able to be an elder. I hope to be an elder like you, Ms. Nash. I've told you many times that you are our Ella Baker. And a lot of people don't know, but after 2020, when I was dealing with all those charges, I would call you at night when I couldn't get a job, when the state had lied. Ms. Nash answered. When we got the first notice of our expulsion, I didn't call a lawyer. I didn't call another politician. I called Ms. Nash. And we talked through that. Because we're just going to be real. Ms. Nash knows all the stories. You know, we work in a building that is not always affirming of young people. Even some of our Black electeds are not affirming of young people. You know, when we were getting expelled, people said we should apologize, that we should, be timid. And I thought of you, and I thought of when you refused to march for the anniversary of Selma, because you said, I would not march with a war criminal in George W. Bush. When everyone wanted to be there for a photo op, you said, I'm not going to be used as a photo op. I thought about when we were in the White House for your Presidential Medal of Freedom ceremony. Almost got arrested by Secret Service, I feel like, because you were waiting for some folks, and Ms. Nash is the only person I know who could tell the president that we're not coming into the Oval Office until everyone in the group is there. And the Secret Service could not understand what was going on, but you said, we're not moving. You said, don't push me in there. And the Secret Service had to back up. So thank you. Thank you for standing firm, because we need more of that. We need more folks who put purpose above title. We need more folks who are willing to be good elders, who are willing to uplift a rising generation. So I hope my legacy is to affirm young people instead of telling them that you're too radical or to slow down or that you're moving too quickly. But I hope that my legacy is being an elder who is lifting up and who's able to encourage and to help think through some things, and also who's there through times that no one here will ever know. No one here will ever know some of the things I've shared with you in some of those dark times, but that was not the end of the story. And so I'm honored to be here with you today, Ms. Nash, and just thank you for convicting our city to do better, to be better, and hopefully we get to a point where every day people walk through that Diane Nash Plaza, that they create a city that betters the lives of descendants of enslaved Americans, African Americans here, that fights for reparations, that fights for housing, that fights for voting rights, that challenges systems that are centuries old and bone deep in this country. So thank you so much, Ms. Nash, and I just love you so much.
There.
Your hopes for your legacy for future generations.
Well, sufficient numbers of seeds have been sown, nonviolent seeds, transformational seeds. Sufficient numbers of people have been in this history of Nashville over the last 40 years that there's a potentially very rich future. And so I think more groups of local people must get more engaged in this work in Nashville. If I were living in Nashville, I think I would still be working with the Central Committee as a major action discovery structure. The task ahead is still huge. So I think we need to build on what has been done and what is being done and what can be done so that the best campaigns are ahead of us, not behind us, and the most momentous transformation or social change or social justice or freedom or equality breakthrough will be today and tomorrow and not yesterday. It is only in that way that I think the work that I began in 1969-59 in Nashville can be picked up and continued long into the future. We need nonviolence at many levels of this country's life. The violent pathway of the United States of America will not lead to a more just society. Our nation is leading the human race in organizing events for the suicide of the human race. So we have more work than we've ever known still to do. And the issue is not only racism and sexism and poverty and wage theft and working families working in poverty. The issue is also how our nation is organizing Africa Africa to self-destruct. 6,000 troops in 40-some countries, I understand. 6,000 troops in some 43 or 53 countries. I'm not just concerned for racism in the United States. I think many of these issues are connected with each other, as Diane has indicated in many of her statements today, and they need to be applied. We need many more practitioners and organizers of soul force struggle. And we need more nonviolent organizers in work that moves into new fields. So there's more than enough to be done. And I'm consider myself privileged to have this opportunity for this brief conversations with colleagues, Diane most of all, and Justin, and hope that it will prove to be very helpful to some people who hadn't thought about how they could use their lives for justice and peace, for advancing Black life in America. And Black life does have to be advanced.
For your legacy?
I hope that people will more and more use their own minds to guide themselves. You know, if you said, I'm going to use somebody else's heart or somebody else's stomach, it would have disastrous results for you. If you decide to use someone else's brain, that has disastrous results for you. Have the confidence in yourself to realize that you can use your own brain. You should use your own brain to guide your life. That's why the Creator gave you a brain. To have leaders, charismatic leaders like we've had, has not freed us, and it never will. Martin Luther King, for instance, Malcolm X, I forgot his newer name, but they were benevolent leaders, but that kind of model of the strong one and the weak many will sometimes produce a benevolent leader like a Martin Luther King, but it will also produce a Hitler. Do not believe what you read in the press and what you hear on television, in the news. It could get you killed. There are more than 56,000 young Americans in their graves because they believed what was told to them about the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was about the West stealing the rubber from Vietnam. That's it. So I guess the legacy that I hope for all of us is that people will use their own brains and have the confidence in themselves to do exactly that.
Well, I speak on behalf of everyone in the audience. We are full. Yes, from the delicious meal, so shout out to the catering for this evening, but more so from this very rich conversation. We all have work to do, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for staying with us and investing this time because you feel that this event was worthy of it. So let's give our honorees another round of applause. And as the prim singers get in place, Council Lady Zulfat is going to do a special presentation with the Minority Caucus. So will you please indulge us a little while longer? Feel like you're already having praise and worship service for church in the morning so that we can do that. And Council Lady Zulfat will bring on the Minority Caucus, the Metropolitan Nashville Minority Caucus.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you all so much for being here. My name is Jeff Prepty. I'm District Council Member for District 25, which represents parts of Green Hills and Oak Hill, and there's a spider on this microphone. Anyway, I just want to say very quickly a very special thank you to Miss Diane Nash, especially as the first Haitian American elected to public office in Nashville, Tennessee. You have provided a pathway for there to be many firsts, and we are dedicated to making sure that the first will not be the last. And so I want to present to you a special ordinance that Metro Council just passed. So it's an ordinance or an ordinance naming the land on the steps in front of the historic Metropolitan Courthouse in honor of Diane Nash. And it reads in part that, whereas on the steps of the courthouse, Diane Nash asked Mayor Ben West if he felt if it was wrong to discriminate against a person solely based on race or color, to which he replied yes, leading Nashville to becoming the first southern city to integrate lunch counters a mere 3 weeks later on May 10th, 1960. Now, therefore, be it enacted that the Metropolitan County Council of Nashville and Davidson County that the land along the entire front of the Metropolitan Courthouse, including the large fountains and the steps on the landing, the plaza, is hereby named Diane Nash Plaza. So thank you, Diane, for everything that you have done and for inspiring all of us. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Good evening. We are the W. Crim Singers. That was Hear My Prayer as composed by Moses Hogan. We are going to now have I'm going to switch it up on y'all real quick. They can handle it. This evening, we have been fortunate to hear from civil rights legends. And music was such an important part of that. They gathered in churches and in basements. They gathered in secret places, sort of hearkening back to those days of our ancestors in the hush harbors to come together and to conspire. And they often would sing songs. They would gather and sing songs that pulled from the Negro spiritual, the music that this city is very much known for. And so, y'all follow me real quick. Actually, this song, they would sing this song, our ancestors, and it would go something like this.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, and before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Yeah. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Oh, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Back in the day, they would also sing, again, they'd sing these spirituals. Again, I said this city is known for the spirituals, particularly the concert spiritual, but we're going to sing some more of those songs real quick. And Alan, you come forward for me. Stop that for me, sir.
I know I've been changed. Oh, I know I've been changed. Good Lord, I know I've been changed. You know the angels in heaven done sign my name. Y'all sing with me. Oh, good Lord. Oh, anybody know about you know the angel, yeah, said I stepped in the water, and the water was cold. You know the angel, yeah, yes sir, said it chilled my body, but not my soul. You know the, yes sir, yeah. You know that anybody's name been signed. Can I see you wave your hand, say I. Oh, you know yes sir, I know. Yes sir, you know the angels in, oh Lord, yeah, done sign my name. Yes sir.
Soul's been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. My soul's been anchored in the Lord.
My hope is built on nothing less.
My soul's been anchored in the Lord.
Than Jesus' blood and righteousness.
My soul's been anchored in the Lord.
I dare not touch the sweetest phrase.
My soul's been anchored in the Lord.
Then wholly lean on Jesus' name.
My soul's been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. My soul's been anchored in the Lord, in the Lord, in the Lord. My soul's been anchored in the Lord. My soul's been anchored in Jesus. My soul's been anchored in Jesus.
Anchored in Jesus. Anchored in Jesus. Jesus, lover of my soul. Let me to the bosom fly, while the water near us rule, while the tempest still is high. Hide me, oh my Savior, hide, while the tempest still is high. Save me to the haven guide, oh receive my soul at last.
Anchored
in the Lord.
Anchored
in the Lord.
Anchored
in the Lord.
Thank you, Crim Singers. Give them another round of applause. And now you are in for another special treat. There are words and vision. Please welcome Ms. Moncherie Holmes Jones, owner of Mojo Marketing, and artist extraordinaire, Mr. Michael McBride. Please come to the stage. And we will also hear from the leader of this day-long event, Council Lady at Large, Zulfat Suara. Moncherie Jones. Council Lady at Large, Ms. Zulfat Suara.
Thank you all so much for being patient. I know we've gone a lot longer than we said, but that conversation, we couldn't cut it short because that's a once-in-a-lifetime conversation. But what we have for you now is a mural. As some of you know, about 2 years ago, we did one downtown on John Lewis Way and Commerce. It's one of John Lewis and the Freedom Riders and the sitting participants. And so we had this idea that we want to do another one. And so there's going to be another big mural downtown. And this is a rendering of what it's going to be. We wanted to present it tonight to Ms. Diane Nash. And so this is the artist that did the first mural, Mr. Michael McBride. And I invite him to tell you about his work and to show you the new mural. Oh, yes.
Well, this mural is a tribute to the sit-ins, and I think the first 4 men over in North Carolina, I think, did the first sit-in, and at the end, can you all hear me? And at the end in this is an image of a woman, and that woman represents you, Ms. Nash, that's here in the sit-in. And as you see, I tried to do it in such a way that it's not necessarily, you understand that these are black people, and you see the Woolworth, and then these are white people. And as you can see, I think water was doused on some of them when they were, when they were sitting at the counter. So that's what this piece is kind of about. So I wanted to have it in such a way that anybody that had been involved in the sit-ins and knew about the sit-in, they can place themselves and see the power of what happened instead of just individual people. So this mural is going to be 20 feet tall and 50 feet long. So this is it.
Thank you, Artist McBride. We appreciate you for your work. We have some other presentation, but in the interest of time, we're not going to be able to do them when everybody's tired. Ms. Nash has been doing this all day. Thank you so much. I mean, I don't know how you're doing it. Look at me, I'm bending like this, and I'm way younger. So thank you. But I wanted to acknowledge Dr. Forrest Harris of ABC. He has a presentation that he'll be giving to you later. And I also wanted to acknowledge Dr. Ricardo Guthrie from Fisk University. The two universities wanted to do something as well. So thank you both for being here. And again, sorry we're not able to, we just had to cut it short. Representative Justin Jones has a proclamation from the state of Tennessee. I was surprised they let you do it. Pun intended, for those of you that did not know the story of Allison Russell and what happened there, so that's what that is about. But I'm glad we got this one done because this is one that we all would have shut it down if we did not get it. So thank you for doing that, and he'll be presenting that later. To all of my committee members, would you please stand? And if you can make your way up here, I would love you to do that, please. This is not all of them. Mary Sewin, Karen Johnson. Oh, Mr. McBride, you're my committee too? Okay, we'll take you. Cian Wilson, Phyllis Colbrooks, Dr. Phyllis Qualls. Charlene Oliver, Miss Deborah Berry, Tim Walker, Nancy Van Rees, Sam Reedy is not here, Delisha Porterfield, Joy Stiles, Vivian Will Oit. Who am I leaving out? Moncherie. Where's she at? Moncherie, John Onisoka, Ashford Hughes. I may be missing somebody. I'm trying to think in my head. The reason why I called out this name is because we've been meeting for a couple of months. And we meet weekly and we talk about different things. I remember about 2 weeks ago, some people said maybe we should cancel the banquet because we didn't think we could pull it off. But we dug down. We put it together. These people don't take no for an answer, and that's why we want to have the wonderful event that we've had all day. So please help me thank them for a job well done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so very much. Our hope when we started this journey was that Nashville will come out and join us in celebrating Mrs. Nash, and you guys did that. So thank you for being here all day, those of you that were there in the morning, and those of you that were here tonight. The morning event was live streamed on Metro YouTube channel, and it will be on YouTube later. If you missed the morning show, you can watch it. The event tonight is also being recorded, and so we will send the link out later. So it's been a day of celebration. It's been my honor to serve as the chair, and so thank you all so very much. And last but not least, Ms. Nash, thank you. Nashville loves you. We appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Once again, on behalf of the Diane Nash Plaza Dedication Committee, we thank you for coming, and to all of our ministers, we will be at church tomorrow. Thank you.
Good night.